summer vacation, in a small seaside town, many classmates are discussing one question: are the fireworks, when they rise, seen from below, or from the side? And what shape are the rising fireworks? Really, round, or flat? This was the theme of an anime movie released 8 years ago, but it received mixed reviews from critics and audiences alike. The story begins with a boy named Norimichi. That day, he was riding his bike to school with his best friend Yusuke. While taking a shortcut, they noticed a girl by the seaside. The moment Norimichi saw her, he was completely captivated. Her name was Nazuna. She had just wanted to feel the gentle sea breeze, but she unexpectedly found a glass marble. Little did she know, it was this glass marble that would set fate in motion between her and Norimichi. Nazuna was actually in the same class as Norimichi and his friend Yusuke. Coincidentally, both boys had a crush on her, but while Yusuke was bold enough to say it out loud, even constantly announcing he was going to confess his love, but Norimichi dared not tell anyone that he also liked Nazuna. Of course, Yusuke could already tell that Norimichi had a crush on her. That day, after the teacher announced summer break, she also told the class there would be a fireworks festival that night. Students who were interested could go together. After the announcement, the teacher returned to the office. Nazuna followed her in. She handed her a letter from her mother. It said that her mother was about to remarry, and they would be moving soon, which also meant Nazuna would be transferring schools. After class, Yusuke and Norimichi stayed behind to do their cleaning duty. That's when they saw Nazuna sitting alone by the pool, idly kicking at the water with her legs. Suddenly, Yusuke said he had to use the bathroom. He handed the broom to Norimichi and quickly ran off. Norimichi gazed at the girl in her swimsuit in front of him, feeling shy and awkward. As he swept the pool area with the broom, he tried to start a conversation with Nazuna. A dragonfly landed on her face. Norimichi politely warned her, but Nazuna remained calm. She asked him to catch it for her. This was a rare chance for Norimichi to be close to the girl he'd secretly liked for so long. He wasn't about to let it pass him by, but he was so nervous. Before he could even get close, the dragonfly flew away. That's when he noticed the glass marble next to Nazuna. Nazuna said she had found it by the beach. Just then, Yusuke returned from the bathroom. On a sudden whim, he challenged Norimichi to a swimming race. The two boys instantly agreed. They even made a bet. Yusuke said that if he won, he would go confess to Nazuna. Seeing them about to race, Nazuna got excited too. She joined in and said that if she won, they both had to follow her orders. The race began, but Norimichi, distracted by a glance at Nazuna, hurt his leg and lost. In the end, Nazuna came in first. It's time to pay up on the bet. Nazuna asked Yusuke to go watch the fireworks with her at 5 p.m. and told him to meet her at his family's clinic. Back in class, the students were having a heated debate. Were fireworks in the sky round or flat? Norimichi and Yusuke were instantly intrigued and jumped into the conversation. As the debate got more intense, they decided to split into two groups. One group insisted fireworks were round, the other believed they were flat. They even put their summer homework on the line. The losing side would have to finish the winner's assignments. Then everyone agreed to meet up at the fireworks festival at 5 p.m. to find out the truth, round or flat. After school, Yusuke went to Norimichi's house to play video games. Norimichi brought up the fireworks question again. Yusuke confidently declared that fireworks looked round no matter where you viewed them from. As he was leaving, Yusuke advised Norimichi to get his leg checked at his family's clinic. If it got infected and turned into tetanus, it'd be serious. He also told Norimichi that if he happened to run into Nazuna, he should let her know Yusuke wasn't going to the fireworks with her that night. Meanwhile, Nazuna arrived at Yusuke's clinic just like they had agreed, but Yusuke wasn't there. Instead, she ran into Norimichi, who had come to have his injury looked at. When Norimichi finished and saw that she was still waiting, he told her that Yusuke wouldn't be coming. On the way back, Nazuna opened up about her feelings. She said she had actually thought Norimichi would win the swimming race, and that he would be the one to ask her to see the fireworks. Then she confessed that she didn't want to transfer schools, and was planning to run away from home. After saying that, she turned and walked away. Norimichi stood frozen, watching her figure grow smaller in the distance. He didn't know what to say. Maybe he just didn't have the courage. But the next moment, Nazuna suddenly came running back, dragging a suitcase behind her. Before long, her mother caught up to her. Nazuna called out to Norimichi for help, but he stood there, completely confused. His brain couldn't keep up with what was happening, and so, all he could do was watch her disappear from sight again. It wasn't until he noticed the scattered items on the ground that he snapped out of it. He picked up the strange glass marble lying there. At that moment, Norimichi was filled with regret. If only he had won that swimming race. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Then, in frustration, he threw the marble as hard as he could. To his surprise, something inside the marble started to spin. In the next instant, time itself began to rewind. The word "if" appeared inside the marble, and Norimichi was pulled into an imagined version of events. In this new world, he traveled back to the moment of the swimming race, and just like he had wished, he won the race. This time, Nazuna invited Norimichi to the fireworks festival. Back in the classroom, the other students were still arguing about the shape of fireworks, but at this moment, Norimichi didn't have his previous memories yet. However, he would gradually recall them as time passed. Soon, Yusuke showed up at his house to play video games. That familiar scene triggered something in Norimichi's memory. He remembered that Nazuna wanted to run away from home, so he made an excuse to go buy drinks. Then he rushed off to find Nazuna. He found a bike and made up his mind to run away with her. But just as they were leaving, Yusuke spotted them. Nazuna asked him, "Where were they going?" Norimichi said he didn't know, but Nazuna smiled happily anyway. The two of them made it to the train station. Nazuna opened her suitcase and revealed her plan to run away, but Norimichi was worried that since Nazuna wasn't even 16 yet, she wouldn't be able to find work. She replied cheerfully that girls could find jobs no matter where they went. Soon, she proved her confidence through her actions. She changed into a white dress. In that moment, Nazuna looked like a grown woman. She gazed at Norimichi with deep affection, and Norimichi was completely stunned by her. Then Nazuna suddenly asked him to run away with her. Norimichi looked at her beautiful face, and memories from before the time leap came flooding back. But just as the train arrived, Nazuna's mother showed up too. Just like before, she grabbed Nazuna by the arm and tried to drag her away. Nazuna cried out for Norimichi's help. That's when the glass marble slipped from Norimichi's hand and fell to the ground. Suddenly, everything came back to him. This time, he didn't stay silent. He ran forward with all his might, trying to stop her mother, but he was still just a teenage boy. Nazuna's stepfather punched him hard and knocked him to the ground. Then they dragged Nazuna away. Norimichi, filled with sadness, pushed his bike along the road. The more he thought about it, the more furious he became. He clenched the glass marble tightly in his hand. Just as he was about to throw it again, his classmates showed up. Left with no choice, Norimichi followed them to go find out what shape fireworks really were. Soon, they arrived at the fireworks festival. To get a better view, they climbed up to the roof. To their surprise, the fireworks really did look flat. At that moment, Norimichi remembered what Yusuke had said, that fireworks were round no matter what angle you looked from. There was no such thing as flat fireworks in the real world. In that instant, Norimichi realized something. Without hesitation, he threw the glass marble again and shouted, "If only I had gotten on that train with Nazuna." The marble burst into brilliant light like a firework, and in the next moment, Norimichi traveled back once again to the moment when Nazuna was being dragged away by her parents. This time, he leaped forward and dodged her stepfather's punch. Then he grabbed Nazuna's hand, and they both jumped onto the train. This time, they finally ran away together. They sat side by side on the train, talking freely. Norimichi was curious, why did she want to run away from home? Nazuna began telling him about her past. Her father was her mother's second husband. He had eloped with her mother to this town, and that's where Nazuna was born. But not long after, he died in an accident. The beach where her father died was the same place where Nazuna had found the glass marble. When he died, he was holding that glass marble tightly in his hand. Maybe her father had once used that glass marble too. Less than a year after his death, Nazuna's mother was already preparing to remarry, so Nazuna decided to run away. She said she would go to Tokyo and make a living by singing. Maybe, she said, she could become a big star. Then she started singing right there. Her beautiful voice made Norimichi feel like he was in a dream. Before he realized it, he had listened to the entire song. But just then, some classmates passing by spotted them on the train. They quickly gave chase. Even worse, Nazuna's parents were now following them by car. The two had no choice but to get off at the next station, but Yusuke and Nazuna's mother quickly caught up. They had barely stepped off the train when they were surrounded, so they ran. As they ran, Norimichi finally reached out and held Nazuna's hand. Nazuna asked him, "Where were they going?" Norimichi said he didn't know. All he knew was that he wanted to be with her. After all, he had experienced multiple timelines, and each time travel had helped him grow. Just as they were coming out of a tunnel, they ran into their teacher, but something was strange. Her body looked completely ordinary, which proved this world wasn't the real one, because before Norimichi had time traveled, his teacher's figure had been very attractive. They soon reached the rooftop where Norimichi had last time traveled through time. To their surprise, the fireworks in the sky looked completely bizarre. Taking in everything that had happened, Norimichi realized that this world wasn't right, but Nazuna said it didn't matter whether the fireworks were round or flat. As long as she could be with Norimichi, nothing else mattered. She took his hand and started spinning around joyfully, but at that moment, their classmates and Nazuna's mother finally caught up. Yusuke, in particular, looked terrifying. He shoved both of them off the platform. As they were falling, Norimichi threw the glass marble once again and shouted, "If only we hadn't been discovered on the train." Suddenly, Norimichi woke up. Time had truly returned to the moment on the train. He looked at Nazuna's familiar back. Without thinking, he pulled her down onto the floor. Sure enough, they avoided being seen by the classmates and her mother, but he was still worried that Nazuna's mother might be waiting at the next station. Just then, the train switched tracks and started heading out over the sea. After all those jumps through time, Norimichi had come to believe that the glass marble could grant people's wishes, so he told Nazuna everything, all the strange events and time loops he had experienced. Norimichi thought she'd never believe something so absurd, but Nazuna said, if it came from Norimichi, she'd believe anything. Eventually, the two of them returned to where it all began. Above them, a strange dome hung in the sky like a glass marble, wrapping and distorting the world around them. They looked around at all the bizarre scenery, and both knew this wasn't the real world. But as long as they had each other, that was enough. Norimichi was afraid that if they returned to the real world, Nazuna would leave, so he told her he would rather stay in this strange world with her forever. He said it out loud, clearly and boldly, but to his confession, Nazuna didn't reply. Instead, she took his hand and pulled him toward the water for a swim. Meanwhile, the glass marble they had left behind on the beach was picked up by someone preparing the fireworks display. That person, incredibly, used the marble as a fireworks shell and launched it into the sky. As the glass marble shattered with a loud explosion, the word inside it also broke apart. Fragments rained down from the sky, each one carrying a possible future. At the same time, the strange barrier in the sky slowly disappeared. As one of the fragments fell, Nazuna saw a glimpse of the future, the two of them on a date in Tokyo. Norimichi caught a shard that showed him and Nazuna kissing, then the two of them jumped into the sea. Underwater, they kissed passionately. The glow of the fireworks spilled across the ocean surface. It was as beautiful as a painting. In that moment, it felt like time stood still. Nazuna held him close and said she didn't know what kind of world they'd meet in next time. Then she swam up toward the surface. At the very end of the film, the glass marble is launched into the sky one last time and shatters. This symbolizes the collapse of Norimichi's imagined world, everything returning to reality. The scene shifts. The teacher is calling roll in class. She doesn't call Nazuna's name, and Nazuna's seat is empty. Clearly, she's already transferred schools. When she calls Norimichi's name, he isn't there either. Perhaps this is an open-ended conclusion. Maybe Norimichi followed Nazuna and left. Or maybe he remained forever in that fantastical world. But considering how they picked up fragments of a future date in that world, and how the fireworks returned to normal, and the sky barrier disappeared, I believe they returned to the real world. Norimichi found the courage to chase after love. All in all, this is a story about a boy's secret crush on a girl. The reality is, the moment Nazuna was dragged away by her mother, the story between Norimichi and Nazuna had already ended, and all the time traveling that Norimichi did afterward was nothing more than a fantasy world he created. In that world, he faced setbacks again and again, growing and transforming each time, until finally, he gathered his courage, and, with the glass sphere as a catalyst, confessed his feelings. Maybe the glass sphere had no magic, Maybe Norimichi was just a boy who loved to imagine, but for a boy going through adolescence, imagination is a privilege in itself. At the moment when the fireworks bloomed, we were all growing up. The unspoken likes turned into the most brilliant secrets of the summer. Even if we can't walk side by side until the end, I still feel grateful for your presence in my youth.